revolutionary. And you're going to have to keep on saying that.
You hear these talking points all the time. More Republicans supported the Civil Rights Act. Abraham Lincoln was a Republican and he freed the slaves. Or Lyndon B. Johnson saying, I'm going to have blacks voting Democrat for the next 100 years, which is a myth, by the way. There's no evidence supporting this claim, but what he did say is we've lost the South for the next generation. Which brings us to the topic in today's video, the Southern strategy. In this video, we're going to break down how and why the Republican and Democratic Party shifted and why race played a pivotal role in this change. For nearly a century after the Civil War, the South was a Democratic stronghold known as the Solid South. But 1945 ushered in a new face for the Democratic Party in Harry Truman, who passed legislation desegregating the military and pushing for anti-lynching laws and anti-poll taxes. He was definitely far from the racist Dixiecrats like Strom Thurmond and James Wasteland. By the 1960s, the National Democratic Party began supporting civil rights legislation. John F. Kennedy, who was backed by Northern progressive Democrats who supported civil rights and it being the right thing morally. But after his assassination in 1963, President Lyndon B. Johnson signed the Civil Rights Act of 1964 and Voting Rights Act of 1965, giving Black Americans new protections. Even though in private he used racial slurs, he believed in moral issues and wanted to go down in history for doing something equal to or even more than President Lincoln's emancipation. He also saw it as a political gamble because he knew they would lose Southern support but also gain a more diverse coalition nationally with Black and white progressive voters. And with all the civil rights protests and marching being televised, the world was watching America. And Johnson knew if he did nothing, then other nations would see America as hypocrites for preaching democracy and freedom abroad, but not at home. Johnson famously said, "We've lost the South for generations." He knew these moves would annihilate many white Southern voters.
Effective federal law against discrimination in the sale and the rental of housing in the United States of America.
Republicans saw an opportunity. Barry Goldwater in 1965 opposed the Civil Rights Act, which lost him a significant amount of black votes, arguing it gave too much power to the federal government. He lost his race in a landslide, but carried 5 deep South states, which shaped the Republican Party into what we see today. Richard Nixon in 1968 redefined the playbook. Instead of openly talking about race, he talked about law and order and the states' rights. These coded appeals, dog whistles, that tapped into resentment for civil rights, desegregation, and busing without using openly racist language. Nixon's silent majority message told white Southerners, "We hear you. We'll protect your way of life."
There were the Dixiecrats, who never really went away since 1948. They obviously didn't like the Civil Rights Act so much. Led by George Wallace, the governor of Alabama, many of them threatened to leave the Democratic Party for good and even...
By the late 1970s and 1980s, the South's political map was changing fast. Ronald Reagan helped lock it in. He launched his 1980 campaign in Mississippi at the site of the infamous civil rights murders and stressed states' rights. His emphasis on welfare reform, crime, and traditional values further cemented Republican support among white Southerners. Meanwhile, black voters remained overwhelmingly Democratic, making the South politically polarizing along racial lines.
Has to do with something we had promised, and that was that we were going to make government smaller, we were going to make it more efficient.
The Southern strategy just didn't flip states, it reshaped national politics. Republicans built a reliable voting base in the South, helping them dominate presidential elections for decades. Democrats, in turn, leaned more heavily on coalitions and minorities, urban voters, and coastal states. Today, the debates still remain over law and order, voter IDs, and even culture wars, and can be traced back to the Southern Strategy book. If you made it this far, ensure that you like, comment, and subscribe. And thank you for coming to the Political Black Guy channel. So when you see the Southern voting bloc of Republicans time and time again, just remember that it wasn't always this way. It's a product of deliberate political strategy based off of race, culture, and political calculations. The Southern strategy shows us that it isn't always about politics. It's about reshaping identities, and which is still taking form today in American politics. Thank you.